we go. I just want to qualify before this video starts. I am not a dominatrix, thank God. My clients don't pay me to verbally abuse them, which means when someone comes up to me and says, Shank, I don't get it. I'm in a calorie deficit, but I'm not losing weight. I don't go Miracle Max's wife Valerie style on them. Go, liar! Humperdink, humperdink, humperdink! Because it serves no purpose. Look, 95% of the time that people can't lose weight is when they think they're in a calorie deficit. Well, 100% of the time they're not in a calorie deficit, but 95% of the time it's just a mistracking issue. All right? And this is universal. This isn't picking on anyone. People are horrible at tracking how many calories they burn, and they're even worse on tracking how many calories they take in, which is fine. We can adjust with that. We can track better. We can solve technical roots to the problem, but we can address that other 5% of the time. And the other 5% of the time deals with specifically with emotional eating, but I want to be very specific about that. I want to be specific on my specific. It deals with closeted emotional eating. You can't fix a problem unless you get to the root of the problem. And if you're an emotional eater, particularly in secret, all the awesome advice I give with weight training, right? It's as simple as pick one exercise for back, one exercise for chest, one exercise for shoulders, one exercise for biceps, one exercise for triceps, one exercise for front of the thigh, one exercise for back of the thigh. Perform 6 to 9 sets every 7 days, spread it evenly over the 7 days. Pick exercises that work the targeted muscle, that don't hurt you, that you can progress reasonably over time. Lyle McDonald 316, right? That's your weight training. And as far as calories, take current body weight times 10 and eat that many calories a day. Now, if you're underactive, eat maybe 8 to 9 as your multiplier. Current body weight times 8 to 9. If you're very active, it could be 11 to 12. The multiplier could go on, depending on how active you are. Eat that many calories a day. You drop 10% of your body mass. Then take 1 week to a month at maintenance, which is usually current body weight times 12 to 15, and practice maintenance. You got to come up for it physically, you got to come up for it mentally, and you have to practice the skill of maintenance. People are not having a problem with weight loss or having a problem with weight maintenance because they don't practice the skill of weight maintenance. All of that wonderful advice will do diddly squat for you if you're an emotional eater, particularly secret emotional eater. Perfect example is I trained a lady once who swore she was in a calorie deficit. And the other thing she swore was that sugar hurt her stomach. And I remember one time I saw her eat a cookie. And she literally sounded like Andrew Dice Clay with a burst appendix. She was like, oh! And she's like, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? And she'd be like, oh, it's the sugar. It hurts my stomach. And I'm thinking to myself, I just saw you ate, and that wasn't just sugar. That was sugar and fat. Now, I don't want to get too deep into that because the white horse zealots will jump down our throat. Oh, no, sugar's so evil. Whatever. And then one day, with all kinds of people, one day I saw her in Carvel, ice cream, fresh Carvel, ice cream. I walked into Carvel, and I saw her there. And she had this giant soft serve ice cream wrapped in rainbow sprinkles, which basically is sugar on sugar on sugar on fat. And she was pounding that sucker while waiting for the kid behind the counter to make her a sundae. And I'm thinking to myself, well, one cookie almost killed her. What's this going to do? Make her spontaneously combust? Is this going to be like death by cookie puss? Right? So the next day I saw her in the gym. I ran out of the store because I didn't want to know I saw her. And I saw her in the gym. I said, look, I go freaking nuts from time to time. But typically it's a technical issue. Not enough protein, not enough fiber. I've been in a calorie deficit too long. You can make adjustments for that. What I can't make adjustments for, look, if I'm missing Frankie and Lily, a can of tuna fish is not going to bandage that wound. It's just not going to work. Right? You have to make proper adjustments, but the reality is when you're especially a closeted emotional eater, you need PPH. Right? You need proper professional help. And that's not from some douchebag trainer or some egotistical, narcissistic diet guru. You need to see a therapist. And I don't care if that's Sigmund Freud or Carl Jung or Alfred Adler or my favorite Naomi Sussman. You need to get what I said before, proper professional help, because dealing with emotional eating, particularly closeted emotional eating, requires a whole different set of strategies and skills. That's different than, say, having an extra protein shake late at night. The reason why is because in the end, all diets work the same way. And I don't care if it's the vegans and the vegetarians. Like, oh, our diet is so much more superior than the typical American diet. Yeah, that's because the typical American diet sucks. And I don't care if it's the meat-eating people or the zone people or those fung holes that all talk about intermittent fasting. Look, all those diets work not because of the nonsense that the zealots preach about. It's because they put you in a calorie deficit long term. And which is why diets work. But the problem is if you can't get in that calorie deficit, the diet won't work. And if what's driving that lack of calorie deficit is closeted emotional eating, I can't help you with that. You need to get serious professional help. And that's it. Address the problem in its root cause and go from there. So that's it. This already went on long enough. I will see it. Was that only 5 minutes? Nice. I will see everyone next week. Thank you very much.